Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Safety Study Group. Okay, we'll just wait until Instagram notifies people that I'm alive, and we should start any second now. Hello, MJXX. How are you? Ifat, hello. Welcome. Today we'll be talking about confined space. Welcome. We'll start any second now. Just waiting for a few more people to join. Then we will talk. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We'll have a sip of water. I hope you don't mind. Okay, we'll just go ahead and start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Safety Study Group's YouTube channel and Instagram account. Today we will be talking about confined space entry, what it is, hazards, risks, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. What we shouldn't do and all of that before going into the confined space, while inside the confined space, and after we come out of the confined space. So hopefully it will be a good topic for everybody. Welcome. I see we have more people joining now. It's good. Okay. So guys, good news. I have created safetystudygroup.com's website. It's under construction now, and inshallah it will be ready in shortly. Okay, so confined space. What is it? Confined space basically is anything, any place, any vessel, any building, any tank, any excavation or anything that has limited access or egress points. You can barely fit yourself through. That's confined space. And it is not designed for continuous or prolonged human occupancy. So it is not designed for us to live there. That is confined space. Okay, now we have some work to do inside the confined space. What are the procedures that we have to follow? What precautions should we take to work safely inside the confined space? And what are the main hazards of confined space? Okay, each company has its own procedures about confined space plan and all of that. And we will now talk in general. This should be in all the procedures, in all the plans of confined space entry. All of them should have this. This is the bare minimum. Okay, so before you go into the confined space, you should notify the right people, obtain the permit. That's one. Get the permit. Tell them who's going to what confined space, what is the job, how long it's going to take. That's the first step. Obtain the permit. 2, you need to isolate the energy source to that confined space. If there are any dangerous equipment, if this confined space is being used to store water, to store cement, to store fuel, to store anything, and you are going inside that confined space to... Hi Suleiman, hi Al-Tamud. I can't read you now. Okay, so if that confined space is being used to store water, fuel, cement, anything, if it's being used to store any of this information, you need to isolate the energy source to that confined space. Excuse me. So this way, you will not be at risk of drowning or engulfment, or basically you'll be safer. So, number 1, obtain the permit to work. 2, isolate the energy source to that confined space. Also, the main hazards of confined spaces, 2. These are the most important hazards in confined spaces. I'll say them now. 1, there isn't enough oxygen, or there is too much oxygen. That's 1. 2, flammable atmosphere. Flammable atmosphere can take a back seat to this, or that can take a back seat to this one. But in general, yes, Suleiman, exactly, yes. Yes, so lack of oxygen or oxygen-enriched environment. These are very dangerous, and you should be careful of them. Flammable atmosphere is also very dangerous, and this is mostly in sour locations. Now, what do we have to do before we do that? Before you go in there, get the permit, isolate the power, blah, 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 that's done. Before you go in, you have to have your rescue team notified, and you have to have your rescue tripod and rescue PPE worn by you. Now, the H2S technician or the authorized gas tester should come and check that confined space before you go inside. They will have a sheet of paper. Before you go inside, they should come, check it, see what is the oxygen rating, is there any flammable gases, all of that. Now, all is good. You can go in. The check has to be periodic, means every 10 minutes. You have to check it. Or it can be continuous. Okay? Continuous or periodic. Continuous means basically the gas detector will have to be in there at all times to notify you if there is not enough oxygen or if there are any flammable gases being generated. So, there are 2 types of tests you can do inside the confined space. There is, hello Mevan, there is a passive and aggressive test to test the environment. A passive test is basically you just put the, okay, let me use this. This is the multi-gas detector. You just put it inside the confined space, wait 30 seconds, take it out. Okay, everything is good, no flammable gases. This is the passive. The aggressive type of atmosphere check is that this is the monitor. It will stay with me outside, but I will connect a tube here, and this tube has a pump. What's going to happen is I'm going to send it down, and it's going to suck the air out. It's going to suck the air out and test it. So by force, this is aggressive testing. Okay? Gas testing must done by watchman. It doesn't have to be a watch person. It doesn't have to be a specific person. It has to be an authorized gas tester. Authorized gas tester. Mostly, it's going to be one of the people that is outside. A watchman can be an authorized gas tester because he will be outside. But mostly, in my experience, it was always the H2S technician or the safety guy, because we were always authorized to test the atmosphere, and we were able to calibrate the device, interpret the readings and all of that. Hello, Zahid. So, passive and aggressive, we spoke about that. And now, before we go in, okay, the rescue tripod, everybody has the harness on, everything. Okay, when you go inside the confined space, excuse me, there are a lot of hazards there. Now, when you go in there, you can also be creating hazards. For example, if you're going in there to do welding, what's going to happen now is you're going to be generating fumes and gases. These gases can kick out the oxygen. They can kick it out, replace it, and you're going to end up suffocating and passing out inside the confined space. That's why if you have welding to be done inside a confined space, it is very important to have mechanical ventilation in place. What's going to happen is you put spark-proof ventilation system in there to make sure that you always have fresh air coming in from outside to the confined space while you're doing the work in there. And when you're inside there, there's a lot of hazards like simple slip, trip, fall. Okay, you can bump your head inside, on one of the pipes, one of the flanges, one of the things that are in there. You can easily fall. Also, there are ergonomic hazards, like you'll have to be bent down, or maybe you'll have to be flat on your stomach. Okay? When you are working, you can be generating sparks, you can be generating fumes. These are all hazards that you have to be aware of. Also, let's not forget the four-letter word or abbreviation, MEEP. 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 Material, equipment, environment, and people. The material that is there, what kind of hazards does it pose to you? The equipment, what kind of hazards will it bring to you? The environment itself, we just said like ergonomics, pipes and all of that, so it's going to be like manual handling ergonomics. You're going to come up like an old man or a pregnant woman, you're going to be walking like this, right? And people, you always have people that are not trained to work in all the environments. Confined space entry has to happen only, only people with training can go inside confined space. But even if people have training, maybe they receive the training and this is their first time ever to be working inside the confined space. So you need to keep an eye on them because, like we said, MEEP, material, equipment, environment, people can be hazardous. People can be hazards. They are walking hazards. Okay, they don't know what's going on. So make sure you're holding their hands. You're showing them the right things. Okay, say something happened while you're inside the confined space. Okay, while you're inside the confined space, something happened. Like I said, the procedure is different. Some people will have a watchman outside, okay, and he will have a whistle, or he will have communication like two-way radios, spark-proof, intrinsically safe radios. Before you go in, you have to put in your badge, sign your name. The watchman will make sure it's there. Okay, if something happens, he will whistle or he will communicate with you. You guys will come out. All right, you guys will come out and go. If something happens, he has communication with the rescue team, with the ambulance. They will come. A lot of different procedures. It's different from one time. It's different from one company to another. So basically, do not enter without permit. Do not enter without JSA. Isolate the power. Before you go in there, do your testing. While you're there, somebody has to do the testing, the authorized gas tester. Make sure the rescue tripod is there. You're wearing your harness. You don't have to wear the lanyard or the shock absorber with the full body harness. The harness is there in case something happens. What's going to happen is they will lower the line from the rescue tripod. They will lower it, connect it to you. They'll bring you to the hatch, and then they will raise you. You'll just be going up like this, okay? And then the rescue team will take you from that area to the ambulance, or if it's an elevated area, high angle rescue. That's something totally different. I'm not, able to talk about that because I don't have the knowledge. But high angle rescue, basically they'll put you on a stretcher and the crane will move you down or something. Somehow they'll bring you down into the ambulance, and then they will take you to the hospital. Conducting air monitoring oxygen levels. Yes, Zahid. There are multi-gas detectors. You check for O2 levels, you check for H2S level, you check for CO1 level, CO level, CO2, and LEL. Okay? And LEL. LEL is the lower explosive limit. Normally, if there is 10% of the LEL, you have to stop the job until the area is ventilated. Once it is ventilated, you can continue to work. And don't forget, your job itself can be creating hazards. So make sure that you have all the safety precautions. Like if you're working inside the confined space and there is a possibility for fire, you need to have fire extinguisher. That's very simple. You have to have a fire blanket. The team that is going in there, they need to have received confined space training and understand the risks involved in their job. Don't just send in anybody. They need to have received training on how to conduct the work inside, and be aware of the procedure, the actual procedure on paper. The safety person has to be aware of the safety procedure. The watchman, the ambulance. The ambulance is not just there to drive you from here to the hospital if something happens. No, they have to know, the clinic crew. They have to know your procedure. You need to give them copies of your procedure. They need to be able to read it. You can email it to them, print it, it's up to you, but they need to read it and be painted in confined space. There you go. Respiratory protection, actually, RPE, respiratory protection equipment, is very, very important. Like before you go in, you need to have your SABA and SCBA, okay? The reason why I said both is very simple. Sometimes you cannot go inside the confined space if you have SCBA, because the SCBA is very bulky, it's very big. Well, the SABA is very small. It has 5-minute air. You can, easily wear it and you go inside. I was an H2S safety supervisor and instructor. So this is very good. Thank you for mentioning Zahid. So painting inside the confined space can be dangerous. Actually, it is dangerous. Painting outside is dangerous. If you're painting this room and there is no ventilation, it's dangerous. So painting inside the confined space, you need to have respiratory protection equipment, RPE. Okay? So when you go in there, you need to have the full face piece, okay, connected to the airline and go down. Now imagine if you have 3 or 4 people working inside there, what's going to happen? You have more hazards, more falling hazard, more risk of falling, because you have a lot of airlines going in and maybe you'll entangle each other. So make sure the H2S guy function checks the RPE before you go in, and make sure he's there to receive it once you come out. And the rescue team, when they go inside, if something happens, they will need to use SCBA. It's all based on the company policy. Maybe the hole is big enough for a person to go inside wearing the SCBA. Okay, but mostly you will not need it, because the people inside, what's going to happen is they will connect the lifeline to him, they'll bring him to the hatch, and they will raise him up, and that's that. So, okay guys, I can talk for hours about confined space and all of that, but the main idea, I think, has come across now. I have created the website, www.safetystudygroup.com, and I'm in the process of building it, transferring things here and there. I hope you guys check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Check it out, and this video, I'll make another broadcast in Arabic. If you would like to watch it in Arabic, stick around. The broadcast will begin after 5 minutes, inshallah. So thank you very much for watching, and inshallah, I'll see you in a few minutes.